The evacuation of injured personnel is one of the most important and difficult tasks the medical services will have to face. This video will examine the procedures and techniques involved in loading and unloading patients aboard an air transport aircraft, specifically the CH-135 Twin Huey. The CH-135 is a twin-engine, single-rotor, utility tactical transport helicopter built by the Bell Helicopter Company. It has a maximum speed of approximately 150 kilometers per hour and a cruising speed of 100 kilometers per hour with a normal range of 200 nautical miles. Other particulars include a basic weight of 2,994 kilograms, a maximum gross weight of 4,763 kilograms, and a useful load of 1,020 kilograms in the summer and 907 kilograms in the winter, with full fuel in both cases. The aircraft accommodates a crew of 2 pilots and 1 flight engineer, up to 6 litter patients and a medical assistant or a flight medical assistant, or 9 mixed load if some patients are sitting, including the medical assistant or the flight medical assistant. Flight safety during the evacuation of casualties is the responsibility of everyone involved: the ground crew, the aircraft technicians, the ambulatory passengers, the air crew, and the medical assistant. If the engines are operating and the rotors are turning, then the aircraft is considered to be in flight, even while on the ground. Consequently, precautions must be taken. Safety procedures and regulations, such as wearing the correct headgear, must be adhered to. Before approaching, a ground crew member must give the pilot a thumbs-up signal. The pilot, in turn, will acknowledge by returning the thumbs-up when it is safe to approach the helicopter. Once given, personnel are to move rapidly to and from the aircraft, confining themselves to the safe approach zone. On level ground, this zone is designated as the area to the front of the aircraft. Therefore, anyone approaching the helicopter should do so from the front at a 45-degree angle, never by the rear. If the helicopter is sitting off level, personnel should approach it from the downhill side. Smoking is not permitted aboard the aircraft nor within a 50-foot radius. Flight safety also extends to the proper loading and unloading of casualties, patient priorities, and securing casualties once on board. The CH-135 can be adapted to accommodate various patient configurations. During casualty evacuation, or CASEVAC, a tier of 3 litters can be positioned laterally ahead of the transmission bulkhead, or the same tier of 3 litters can be positioned longitudinally on either side of the bulkhead, or a tier of 3 litters can be positioned longitudinally on both sides of the transmission bulkhead to accommodate 6 patients. In this case, the center forward-facing troop seat is used for the medical assistant. One final variation is the mixed load, which allows for the transport of up to 3 litter patients positioned laterally, 1 medical attendant, and a maximum of 5 ambulatory. Regardless of the configuration adopted, the injured are loaded through the side cargo doors, and the litter casualties are then secured to litters with safety belts, which are part of the litter kit. All other accessories are secured to the stretcher with the patient. In addition, 2 intravenous hangers are located on the inside of the cabin roof structure, in close proximity of the medical attendant station. A landing zone, or LZ, is a specified zone within an objective area appropriated for aircraft landing. Helicopters carrying light loads are capable of vertical takeoffs and landings. However, a heavier load will require an angled approach or departure. This is important when choosing an LZ. Within the landing zone are designated landing sites. The LZ can be subdivided into sites by certain man-made or natural features, such as tree lines, fences, etc. If a large open field is chosen, the sites must be spread out to allow a number of helicopters to land safely. Except for the size of the area involved, the criteria for landing site selection are the same as those for choosing a landing point. The specific spot a helicopter touches down is referred to as the landing point. There are several factors involved in its selection. 1. Size. The diameter of the landing point must allow for rotor clearance while the helicopter is maneuvering for takeoff or landing. This area must also be free of any overhanging obstructions. 2. Ground surface. The landing point must be cleared of any obstacles or debris, such as rocks, branches, and even tree stumps, which may damage the helicopter. The surface should be firm. Sandy surfaces should be avoided. The blowing sand created by the rotor wash is dangerous to personnel standing nearby and causes unnecessary engine and rotor blade wear. 3. Slope of ground. The ground should be as level as possible, although some degree of slope is generally acceptable. However, sloped landing points should be restricted to daylight operations. 4. Obstacles. The immediate area around the landing point should be free of high obstacles in case a shallow approach or takeoff becomes necessary. Obstacles that present a continuous barrier, such as signal wire and power lines, should be avoided. To determine obstacle clearance, this easy rule of thumb can be used. Sight from ground level over the head of a standing 6-foot person. Obstacles appearing below the top of the person's head will not obstruct the aircraft's approach or exit. 5. Approaches. Ideally, the helicopter should have several obstruction-free paths into the prevailing wind. In a light wind, a single path is acceptable. 6. Winter operations. Snow on the landing point should be packed down by a tracked vehicle or snowshoe-clad personnel. This will help locate obstacles beneath the snow's surface and reduce poor visibility caused by blowing snow. When establishing LZs, it's important to take into account the helicopter's dimensions. The CH-135 twin Huey has a length, with extended rotor, of 17.45 meters, a width of 2.84 meters, and a rotor diameter of 14.63 meters. There are numerous ways of marking a helicopter landing point. Regardless of the method, the air crew must be advised of its location and informed as to the conditions on the ground. A suitable ground signal must also be displayed. Markings should be kept to a minimum and displayed just prior to the helicopter's arrival. Pegging marker panels to the ground as a permanent marker for the landing point is ill-advised because the rotor downwash will tear them loose. Suggested marking methods are: human. A person wearing the fluorescent panel around the waist, positioned back to the wind and arms extended upwards. The landing zone is cleared only when the helicopter has touched the ground. Vehicle. The fluorescent panel is affixed to the hood of a vehicle pointing downwind. On final approach, the vehicle is driven clear. Other. Colored smoke, flashing lights, or pyrotechnics can be used. To prevent deception, a prescribed identification sequence may be necessary. Marking LZs for night operations requires thorough knowledge of the procedures involved and would normally be carried out by trained personnel under the supervision of a senior medical assistant. The normal night marking aids for a helicopter landing site are the 5-light T, which should be arranged so the aircraft can land on either side of the last light of the stem, and the inverted Y, placed so that the helicopter can land between the bottom two lights of the Y. Should these marking aids be unavailable, headlights set on high beam from two vehicles may be used to converge on the landing point. In an emergency, a single flashlight can be utilized. It is imperative that any personnel required to marshal a helicopter landing execute the signals correctly. The basic marshalling signals are the same regardless of the time of day, with the addition of wands for night operations. The marshalling signal for move downwards is arms extended horizontally sideways, beckoning downwards, with palms turned down. Speed of movement indicates rate of descent. The move upwards signal is arms extended horizontally sideways, beckoning upwards, with palms turned up. Speed of movement indicates rate of ascent. Move to the left is right arm extended horizontally sideways in direction of movement, and the other arm swung over the head in the same direction, in a repeating movement. Move to the right is left arm extended horizontally sideways in the direction of movement, and the other arm swung over the head in the same direction in a repeating movement. Wave off is arms extended sideways, waved from waist level to crossing overhead. Move back is arms by sides, palms facing forward, swept forward and upward repeatedly to shoulder height. The signal to hover is arms extended horizontally sideways, palms downward. The signal to land is arms crossed and extended downwards in front of the body. The signal to stop is arms crossed above the head, palms facing forward. Turn to the left is point right arm downward, left arm repeatedly moved upward and backward. Speed of arm movement indicating rate of turn. Turn to the right is point left arm downward, right arm repeatedly moved upward and backward. Speed of arm movement indicating rate of turn. The affirmative or all clear signal is left hand by side of body, right hand raised, thumb up. Note that when the affirmative signal, marshalling completed, is given by the marshaller, it shall be returned by the pilot. The pilot's signal shall be interpreted to mean that assistance from the ground crew is no longer required. Finally, the negative or not clear signal. Left hand beside body, right arm held out, hand below waist level, thumb turned downwards. In a forward aeromedical evacuation, a medical assistant can be utilized for medical evacuation. Ideally, a flight medical assistant should be utilized. Flight medical assistants are trained technicians specializing in patient care in an aircraft environment. As a result, they must be knowledgeable about a number of specifics that relate to in-flight medical care, including procedures in high mountainous terrain, and the effect of barometric pressure on various medical conditions, and the consequences of in-flight stress on casualties. The flight medical assistant's prime concern is the care and comfort of the patients. This would entail numerous responsibilities, such as performing all necessary medical functions and procedures, knowledge of any special flight requirements necessitated by the condition of a patient. For instance, altitude restrictions or specific medical equipment, The determining and requesting of medical resources from the medevac unit or ground crew upon landing, which could include the standby of ambulances and offloading personnel. And maintaining a detailed and complete medical record. This will facilitate casualty transfer to the medevac unit upon landing. Flight medical assistants are also trained to function as fully contributing members of the flight crew. To that end, they share general responsibilities aboard the aircraft with the rest of the crew. These are flight safety, including the loading and unloading of casualties and supplies, as well as the care and securing of equipment. The reporting of any defective equipment or materials on board. The reporting of other aircraft while in flight and not engaged in immediate patient care. The tidiness of the aircraft. And the awareness of all Canadian Forces aircraft and their CASEVAC configurations. Casualties are prioritized according to the type and severity of their injuries. This information will also determine their placement aboard the aircraft. For instance, a casualty with a broken leg will be loaded so that the injured limb is toward the inside of the helicopter. This is done so that treatment can be more easily administered and to lessen aircraft vibration on the broken leg. The litters are always loaded on tiers in the same manner, from top to bottom. They are always unloaded in reverse. Therefore, the last patient loaded is the first patient off. For this reason, casualties with the most serious injuries are loaded last, on the bottom tier, ensuring their quick removal upon arrival. Placing the severest casualties on the lower tier also facilitates in-flight treatment by the medical assistant. The procedure for loading casualties aboard the CH-135 is detailed and methodical. The litter team and crew members must adhere to the prescribed routine to ensure patient safety and comfort while conducting the procedure quickly and effectively. When the flight medical assistant is ready to receive the casualties, the pilot is notified. Then the litter team is now cleared to begin the loading procedure. The patient must be securely strapped to the litter before they commence, and the team should always approach from the front and move alongside until even with the cargo compartment. Carry the patient feet first, and cover the patient's face as protection against flying debris. In the case of the 3-tier and 6-tier longitudinal configurations, the following loading procedures must be exercised. Once at the cargo doors, the litter team moves into semi-overhead carry. The patient is lifted just high enough for the litter to fit into the brackets of the top tier. Number 1, after giving his handle to the crew member, takes number 3's handle, and number 3 moves down the side of the litter pole. Number 2 places his handle on top of the litter support bracket. The handle at the other end is slid into its bracket at the head of the patient by the crew member. The other handles are then slid in place. Number 4 moves down alongside of the pole. Number 3 and number 4 hold the weight of the litter, while number 1 and number 2 secure the litter at each end with the litter retaining straps. All 3 litters are loaded in the same manner from top to bottom. When using the 6-tier configuration, load the other side in reverse to the first, but still top to bottom. Loading casualties using the 3-tier lateral setup should be done as follows. The 2 team members at the foot of the litter give their handles to the crew person. The two then move around the front of the helicopter to assist the crew person in placing the litter handles in the support brackets of the top tier. The routine is the same for all three litters. In the case of a mixed load, the litter patients are loaded as described in the lateral load. The ambulatory patients are seated and secured aft of the 3-litter tier. 2 ambulatory patients can be loaded in this fashion through each cargo door. When a patient has been loaded, the litter crew signals the pilot that they are ready to move away from the helicopter. This same loading procedure is repeated for each patient. Upon landing, and once the flight medical assistant is ready to unload, the pilot gives the all clear signal. The 4-person litter team will approach the appropriate cargo doors from the front of the helicopter. In the case of 3-tier and 6-tier longitudinal loading, the casualty unloading procedure is always done in reverse order of loading as a general rule. The procedure to unload is as follows. Once the cargo doors are open, number 1 and number 2 position themselves alongside the aircraft. Number 1 forward of cargo compartment facing aft. Number 2 aft facing forward. Number 3 positions alongside number 1, and number 4 alongside number 2. Number 1 and 2 unfasten the inside litter brackets, litter straps, and the litter straps brackets. Number 3 and 4 situate themselves alongside the litter pole and get ready to bear weight. The litter is then lifted off its brackets by the crew and litter team and positioned on the aircraft floor. Number 3 and 4 then pick up the litter straps, putting them on the next upper litter. Number 4 and number 2 slide the litter feet first slowly out of the aircraft. Number 4 picks up the litter handle as it comes out. Number 3 does likewise when it is out. Number 2 and number 4 rotate and face forward and, upon clearance of the crew, thumbs up, proceed within the safe zone carrying the casualty feet first. The same procedure applies for the middle tier litter. For the top tier litter, the procedure is also the same with the following exception. Number 2 sits under the inside litter to support the weight upon lifting the litter off its brackets. Unloading casualties using the 3-tier lateral setup should be done as follows. Number 2 and 4 position themselves starboard side of the AC. Number 1 and 3 situate themselves port side. Number 2 and 4 unfasten the brackets and litter straps of the bottom tier and the litter straps on the upper. Number 1 and 3 proceed in the same fashion. The litter is then lifted off its brackets by everyone and rested on the floor of the aircraft. Number 2 and 4 pull the litter, feet first, out of the aircraft. Number 1 and 3 walk around the aircraft nose to starboard and lift the litter on either side at the head of the casualty, while 2 and 4 turn left with the litter alongside the aircraft facing forward. Upon clearance, the team walks within the safe zone, casualty pointed feet first. The same procedure applies for middle and top tier litters. The loading and unloading of casualties aboard a CH-135 twin Huey is a delicate, complex, and demanding operation. It requires thorough knowledge of procedure and great attention to detail. But the job is vital and ultimately satisfying because of its purpose. the saving of human life.